Om. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We are in Kathopanishad, first section, second chapter, 8th verse we are looking at, and here it says, Nanarena varena prokta esha suvigneyo bahudha chintyamanaha ananya prokte gatiratra nasti Aniyanyatharkyam anupramanat. And this we were looking at last week, and we were looking at the Bhashya, and here it was told that this Atma, narena avarena prokta esha, that if someone is only speaking about Atma out of imagination, then the one who is listening will not understand what is being told. So if you are not understanding, blame the teacher. We are good at blaming. Why? Because this teacher, this person who is speaking, could be speaking out of only gift of the gab, good memory, a good imagination, good logic, but no experience. Than Than Gopal. See? So here he says that na narena avarena proktaha esha suvigneyo bahudha chintyamanaha. But whereas Ananya prokte gatira suvigneyo, and the one who knows it well, bahudha chintyamanaha, he has contemplated, and he has all the details will come later on, and he who has recognized it as the indivisible self, suvigneya. See? Su added is for enhancement of that quality. Suvigneya. So who has known it well, and how has he known it well? As the undifferentiated consciousness, undifferentiated self. Then when such a person gives the Upadesh, when such a person, Ananya prokte means when he speaks, when he gives a discourse, when he gives the instruction. What is the quality of a person who is established in the self? A unified vision. For him, there is nothing called other. For him, there is nothing called samsar. For him, there is nothing called ignorance. See, you have to take that position when he is in the second part of the verse. Ananya prote gatiratra na asti. Aha. So when such a person speaks, he is not speaking from getting anywhere. He is not talking about reaching somewhere. He is not talking about becoming somebody. Become the Atma. Merge into Atma. His intention is more intuitive. It is an intuitive instruction. because he realizes, not realizes, he has realized that there is only one. So intuitively he knows why the student is not able to realize that which is so natural, that which is the mainstay of everything. It is the substratum of everything. It is the most natural thing. Then why this student? We are saying this. I am saying this. Why the student is not understanding this question? Why does not come to such a caliber of teacher? When the student comes in, he sees himself on this, because he is beyond the samsara, he is beyond the mind. So one part of mind is expressing as this equipment called the realized master, and the student is another part of the mind, because everything is projection of the mind only. Just like you can see your two roles, the father role is like this and the husband role is like this. You can see yourself, you can assess yourself, where we are falling short, where the husband can be a better husband, where the father can be a better father. Why? Because you know these are only two roles that are projected out. The realized master, the one who is established in the undifferentiated self, he sees at one end the self is, I am not even going to use the word mind. On one hand, the self is appearing as the guru, and another place it is appearing as the student. And how will the guru teach the student? Such a guru who is established in the self, intuitively. Yes, he uses the scriptures, but every word that comes out of his mouth is not out of erudition, is not out of mere logic and imagination and play of words. It comes out of direct experience. It is the spirit speaking. It is not the mind or the intellect which is giving a discourse. It is the spirit speaking through the instrument of the mind. Such a person, when he speaks, the student, there and then it clicks to him. See how wonderful. Huh? And he has nothing to argue about, he has got nothing to debate about, he has got nothing to imagine about. Because when it is indivisible self, there is no duality available to that master. He has already sorted out the duality by abiding in the one self. From one self point of view, from the absolute point of view, there is no duality possible. So few, here when Shankaracharya is speaking, he says, that we did, I think till first paragraph we completed, but we can start again. Nahi narena manushyena avarena proktah avarena hinena prakruta buddhina iti etad ukta esha atma yam tvam mam pruchasi nahi sushtu samyak विज्ञेयः विज्ञातुं शक्यः यस्माद् बहुधा अस्ति न अस्ति कर्ता अकर्ता शुद्ध अशुद्ध इति इत्यादि अनेकधा चिन्त्यमानः वादिभिः. He says that so here now he is going to talk about that the Atma about which you are asking me, or Nachiket word is not used, that you have asked me if a common intellect person. Here is a Manushena Avarena Proktah Varena Hinena. So, when it is heard from a person who is having a general common sense, a general intelligence, not a heightened intelligence. And what is general intelligence? General intelligence is where there is only duality taken as reality. That is general intelligence. See? So, duality, such a person, when he speaks, the student is not able to understand, or if he exposes himself to such a person who is having sadharan buddhi or a general intellect, the possibility of the student and disciple understanding the Atma is very difficult. It becomes a difficult proposition, because all the, here when he says what, nahi sushtu samyak vigneyah vignatum shakyah yasmat bhaudha asti nasti karta akarta shuddha ashuddha, because this undeveloped intellect, or the one who is not abiding in the self, for him duality is still real and he is still caught up in is or is not. It is not clear to him. What can he teach you? Whether I am a doer, whether the self is the doer or not doer, what can he teach you? Whether the Atma is pure or impure, what can he teach you? When it is not his own direct experience, whatever he will say, it will be only an imagination. Get this point. Then the right teacher comes into our life. See? So in this manner, ityadi anekada chintyamano vadibihi, in this manner, different ways it can be contemplated upon. And now 3-4 different options are given to us. And now first one, katam punaha suvigneya iti uchyate. Then in which manner this Atma can be known correctly, perfectly, conclusively, directly, whichever way you, how can it be known? So towards that, the teacher here, Shankaracharya ji says, Ananya prokte ananyena apruthak darshina acharyena pradipadya brahmatma bhutena prokta ukta atmani gatir anekadha asti nasti na asti ityadi lakshana लक्षणा चिंता गति ही अत्रास्मिन् आत्मनि न अस्ति न विद्यते सर्व विकल्प गति प्रत्यस्तम इतत् व्हाट इज इट कल्प गति प्रत्यस्तमित्वादात्मनः. तो ही सेज हाउ देन Katham punaha suvigneya uchyate. How can it be known very well then? So he says that ananya prokto means that a person who has explored it and come to know it exclusive to everything, and he has and come to know that ananya, that there is nothing else other than the self. What it will be like? खुद सोचो, अभी जैसे जैसे बोल रहे हैं इसके बारे में चिंतन करो. As we are talking about it, keep contemplating. You are that pure consciousness. Other than that, there is nothing. See? Because He has come to realize the unity of the self, and in this way, that is the how will we say, that itself is the culmination of knowledge. If knowledge is only at the intellectual level without direct experience, then nothing. So Ananya Prokte means that it is not spoken of differently, not as an objective approach, not as an object to be achieved, not as an object to be realized. And that has been our attempt, not only in this text, in every text, that when we are talking about the self, when we are talking about the spiritual pursuit, it is not left as an idea in your mind. How many times we have said, be subjective, be subjective, be subjective. It is your natural state. So for such a person who is abiding in this natural state, in this pure self, in this Atman, for him there is nothing left to comprehend anymore, because there is no otherness. Wow. There you go. There is no otherness for him. Na atra. Na Ananya Prokte Ananyena Apruthak Darshina. He doesn't see apruthak. Pruthak means separate, different. Darshina doesn't see, doesn't perceive anything as other. Acharyena Pratipadya Brahmatma Bhutena Prokta Ukta Atmani. So, and such an Acharyena, when such an Acharya, the qualities were given in the previous. So when such a self-established, having the disposition of unified self with no otherness, when such an Acharya, when such a teacher, Acharya is the teacher, when such an Acharya, Pratipadya Brahmatma Bhutena, when he starts giving instructions or starts commenting or starts speaking about any text or about the journey, he is speaking out of his own direct experience. Yes, we know this is a language barrier, that when I say he is speaking out of his own direct experience, and who is he? Who is established in himself. Now there is no direct experience also. He cannot say I am having direct experience. That is also a question mark. He may or he may not say. But you will not believe. Because we don't have the direct experience. So we are unable to recognize a person. All we can do is prepare and be available. So such an Acharya with that disposition, when he speaks, he is not afraid, he is not coming from a worry. What is the worry? For normal teacher, what is the worry? Did the listener understand or not? Did I speak convincingly enough? See? But for him, he says, Acharyena Pradipade Brahmatma Bhutena Prokta Ukta Atmani Gatihi Anekadha Asti Na Asti Ityadi Lakshana. He doesn't have any doubt whether it is or it is not. He has no doubt that is it possible to be one with it or not possible to be one with it. See, the one who is established in the unifying principle, the self, the Atma, there are no more questions, there are no more doubts about anything. And remember, the third question was of Nachiketa. Some people say that after death, consciousness is, and some people say consciousness is not. What is the truth? Please instruct me. This was his question, wasn't it? What is the teacher telling here to Nachiket? When the Atma, the conscious principle, is propounded upon by a person who is speaking without direct experience, yes, on one hand, everyone is conscious. Most of us are conscious of something. We are conscious of being a father, we are conscious of being a body, we are conscious of being a waker, dreamer, sleeper. That too afterwards, not while it is happening. You see? But here, remember, conscious of. But this person, he is consciousness itself. No question of conscious of, because that will denote that there is something other to be conscious of. But he is established in the self, as the self, for the self. See? So he has no doubts as regards it is or it is not, it is the doer or it is not the doer, it is pure or impure, all those doubts which were told before, this person has got no doubt whatsoever. And he has got, as our Swamiji says, there is nowhere to go, nothing to do and nowhere to go. He has realized that. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. That is our natural state. Nothing to do, I am a doer or I am not a doer. Should I do or should I not do? Nowhere to go. Here it says what? Gati. Gatihi anekadha asti. There are no different paths. Should I take the Gyan mark? Should I take the Kundalini mark? Should I take this? Should I close my eyes and then I will realize the self? Should I do open eye meditation? Do I do Kriya Yoga? Do I do Bhakti Yoga? He is totally unclutched from all this. Because for him, there is nowhere to reach. He has realized that, because wherever the mind goes, there he is. Wherever the mind goes, he is. And he alone is in and through the entire mind. Don't you know, after waking up, that you as a person and everyone as a person in the dream was only a figment of imagination of your mind? Don't you know that? Even now, yes, you may not remember the dream, but you know this principle, that mind alone became everything in the dream, including the thoughts, the consciousness, the past, present, future, time, space, objectivity, everything, isn't it? So how much value you give to it? Zero. And therefore, this Acharya, his abidance is complete and free from all options. We have many options. Swamiji, Kathopanishad, we studied Ishavasya, but still it didn't click. Kenopanishad, still body identification is there. Now Kathopanishad, we are studying about death and conversation with death. Yes, I am not afraid of death anymore after this understanding, but realization is still, what do I have to do? Again, what do I have to do? get out of this mode. Don't give our talk to ourselves should be such that there is no option available for us. All thinking must lead to an optionless existence. Meaning, all options within our mind must self-cancel each other. And that can happen only when we are listening. When we are reading, then you are putting efforts. Oh, I have to understand what is he trying to say, what is he not trying to say, what. You have to enjoy listening. When we enjoy listening to the stories, when we enjoy listening to the songs of Lata Mangeshkar,
she's alive or not.
She's dead.
Alive or not, we should enjoy the song.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, Neelkantan, namaskar. So, he is, we enjoy it. And in that joy, in that bliss of listening, every song, especially the old songs, if you listen, you can just turn them into spiritual, give them a spiritual bent. And listening to a song, you don't worry about understanding. Understanding takes place. When you are listening to the story from grandma or from some master, and you are available and you are enjoying it, whether it be the stories of Hanuman or whether it be stories of Ramayana or Krishna or King Harishchandra, till today, if someone is telling me the story, I enjoy it. See? And in that listening, the tenets, the qualities, the principles, just by listening, they used to click. See? So, what to talk about? A person who is established in the self and is giving instructions or talking to you or just being in his presence. Such an acharya. And there are many. But to find which are those many, we have to become qualified. They don't have to become qualified, they are already. But which one? There are many crooks also around there. But which one? That will depend upon our availability, our cleansing, our purity. This is your doing. But once we are in the presence of a master, then it's like a spark to the camphor. Boom! It catches fire straight away. See? So, we have to live an optionless life. Do your roles, whatever life has presented to you in front of you. Well, I'm not going to Karma Yoga and all that, but from this point, from here, what is being told, that such a person who is established in his undivided self, the unified self, for him, there are no options to consider. Everywhere he alone is. Continuing in the next. अथवा स्व आत्मभूतेन अन्यस्मिन् आत्मनि प्रोक्ते अनन्य प्रोक्ते गति ही. मैंने पीछे का कर लिया क्या? हाँ. Because see, in the end here, in the last line of the Shankar Bhashya, it said, Kalpagati pratyah. Kalpagati means journey. Gati is journey, that I have to reach somewhere. This is only an imagination. How much distance does a wave have to cover in order to be water? Very instantly in your mind the answer will be, it's already water. Same thing the Upanishad is saying, Shankaracharya is saying, how much distance is between you and the infinite you? You are already the infinite. Except don't give yourself the options. And I told you what the options are. Not only majority are caught up in being husband, wife, brother, sister, etc. Little bit better you are caught up in whether I am the body or the breath or the mind or the intellect. Others are caught up in whether I should follow the Gyan Marg or the Bhakti Marg or the Karma Marg or the Kundalini Marg or the Kriya Marg or the Aghori Marg or I don't know how many margs are there. There are n number of ways, paths. These are all options. I am a Brahman or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra. All this is options. Options are only in the world, samsara. You are the undivided self. Don't give yourself option. Perform the role. Let the role be performed. You are trained enough to be a husband. Now you don't have to practice being a husband. It's automatic. And especially those whose children are married, they are lucky ones. Now no responsibility. It will not happen by maintaining that disposition. All start somewhere, at least in the satsang. Just a few moments here, there. And best place is in the satsang when you are listening to it. Maintain. Let the mind be completely available. And what is the instruction coming? You are already the undivided self. There is nothing else other than the self. It's a knack. If you say, oh, but I tried so much, I have gone here, I have gone there, I have met so many masters, I have gone to Arunachala, I have gone to Badrinath, I have gone to Kailash, but you are giving options again. No, but I know, I am. Again you are giving yourself an option. I am. Stop. We have become so addicted to thinking that we keep believing that we have to do something, we have to think in order to get the conclusion. We are refusing to accept that we are already that which we are seeking. So what is to be done? Stop seeking. Stop seeking. What is seeking? Stop giving yourself options. What is the option? I don't know yet, I have to know it when I abide in it. You have given yourself an option. देखो, so such a teacher who is, oh, where are we here? Page कहाँ गया? 8. Here. So such a teacher, he does not give himself any options because he has got nothing to achieve, nothing to do. Athva, this was one argument. This is one way of looking at it. Another, athva, or, second or. What is that? Swatma bhutena, swatma bhute nesmin atmani prokte ananya prokte gatihi atra anya अवगत गतिः न अस्ति नेयस्य अन्यस्य अभावात्. Or here he says that when the self is spoken of by the teacher, when the self is spoken of by the teacher, who has become identified with the reality, identified with Brahman, again same point he is making, that he is when such a guru gives an instruction to the instruction, there is nothing to be known. That will be his disposition, and therefore and the Brahman that he speaks of, there is na gatihi, there is no movement, there is no change, there is no transmigration, there is no going from point A to point B, and in this way, when he speaks from well, I shouldn't say full comprehension, because even comprehension or non-comprehension is not, because he is directly established in it. He is self-established. So, what, just as, remember this Amrit Anubhav, just as for the sun there is nothing called darkness, similarly for this person, this Acharya who is established in Brahman, the self, for him there is nothing called ignorance, there is nothing called not self. And when he speaks, while he is speaking, the student, the disciple, the one who is available to their teacher with respect, reverence, etc., all the qualities which we have talked about, just by being in his presence, just by listening to such a teacher, the disciple comes to this realization, I am that self. And which teacher came to know by himself? He was also a student of some teacher. He also realized. Every teacher, Shankaracharya, yes, we may say he is Lord Shiva's avatar, etc. But he went to his teacher. Krishna went to Sandipani. Ramchandraji went to sage Vashishta. See? So in this manner, and as a, where are we? So then, so the acme of knowledge is self-abidance. Acme of knowledge is self-abidance. And jnanasya yesha paranishta yadatmaikatva avijnanam. So the acme of knowledge is yad atma ekatva vijnanam, being one with the self, being established in the non-dual principle. That is the climax of knowledge. Then here what is this? That is Atma Vijnanam. And what is this knowledge? The acme of knowledge. Which knowledge? The knowledge of duality. If it is not leading you to that, then we are gone. Because you are listening to the teacher also. So while listening, if we are not established in the non-dual principle, then another option is given. No, sorry, one more. Ataha avagantavya abhava na gatihi atra avashishyate. When there is nothing to, nowhere to go, nothing to reach, when this has become clear by listening to the Acharya, that there is nowhere to reach. Remember this, very important. Oh, I have to disidentify from the body, breath, mind, intellect. Now, put your head up, close your eyes, and I'm established. ऐसे कुछ नहीं होता. All those are caricatures of meditation. Ting, begin meditation. Ting, close meditation. Guided meditation. I also take, don't worry, every Sunday morning. But if you are dependent on the guidance, if you are dependent on that, when I listen, when I do this, when I do that, when I expose myself to this, then it will happen. We are still in the samsara. Sansar means options, samsar means duality. And here he says that where are we? That when we are, when the Acharya gives the instruction on the Atma, then the thought of sansar is not there in the mind of the student or the disciple, because gati, destination, the journey, distance to be covered, is only in samsara. When you are enjoying, time passes very quickly, doesn't it? How quickly? Sometimes, not sometimes, every time, 1.5 hours finished so quickly. No sense of time. Time is another aspect of samsara. So what is samsara? Where there is what you call time, space and objectivity. When we are listening to the Atma Bodha, when we are listening to the instructions from a Acharya who is established in the self, the idea of samsara goes out of our mind. And where there is no samsara in your mind, there is no destination also. There is no gati, there is no movement. You are just there. Not inertly, consciously. And being exposed to such instructions, there and then, here he says, संसार गतिर्वात्र न अस्त्य अनन्य आत्मनि प्रोक्ते नान्तरीय कत्वात् तद विज्ञान फलस्य मोक्षस्य. That when the sansar gati is not there, there and then moksha happens. So this idea, that when all the thoughts of the body go away, all thoughts of the breath, hunger and thirst go away, all emotions go away from my mind, there is no logic. Now I have come to aham, I am, aham brahmasmi, and aham brahmasmi also goes away, or I am, soham also goes away, the last thought. Or if you are chanting om, om also goes away. Now what? After then om, You are thinking where? In the waking. When are you thinking? When you are seeing so much variety. And what is your experience when everything goes away? There is nothing. Isn't it? When there is no light, what is there? Darkness. When there is no object, there is nothing. So when aham brahmasmi thought or om or my mantra, when it has gone from vaikari bandhava pashyanti, now after that what? Nothing. It is not nothing. This is why we come to Vedanta. When all options cease, listening to a realized master, by exposing ourselves to such a master, this is for us, that where all options cease in our mind, that itself is moksha. That itself is the Atma. That itself is Brahman. Don't bring another step in between. What is the in between step? There is void. Don't go into that area. The void thought is only coming because of our objective approach. So now objects were there, now no objects. What was the object? Thought. Now no thought. Oh, there is no thought. No thought is void. We are saying when no thought is there, no option is there, what is left? You are left. This is the difference. It's not that you are left, you are. You access yourself as you are, not through the medium of thoughts, not through the medium of mind, not through the medium of experience. It's aparoksha anubhuti. अथवा प्रोच्यमान ब्रह्मात्म भूतेन आचार्येण प्रोक्त आत्मनि गति ही अनवबोधो अपरिज्ञानम अत्र नास्ति. And when athva or another reasoning is given or way of approach is given, that when such instructions are given to someone by the acharya who has gone beyond the samsara, who is established in Brahman, for such a person, there is no more fall into the samsara. Very simple example which you may have experienced. A virgin becoming a mother cannot go and become a virgin again. A bud becoming a flower cannot become a bud again. A flower becoming a fruit cannot say नहीं यार बहुत हो गया कोई खाने आ रहा है वापस फ्लावर बन जाते हैं, नहीं होएगा. It will not be possible. The same way, the one who listens to such a realized master, such a self-established teacher, in his mind, the urge, the reality, the itch to be involved in the world will be, the umbilical cord will be cut by itself. Then such a person is moving in the world, but he will never forget that he is the self. See, what we are telling here, Upanishad is telling here, or Shankaracharya ji is telling, it is not, you cannot work it out. This is not a topic for you to work out. Because that is not your experience at the moment. It may be in certain areas. Like you are listening to me right now, but you are unavailable to all the objects in the room. You know they are there, but you are not thinking about it. You are not thinking about your album, your children's marriages, your granddaughter's photographs, or your pictures of your trips to different parts of the world. You know they are there, but you are not interested. Why? You are in satsang. So where is that samsar, that imaginary samsar? Where is it? It's out of your mind at this moment. But not at this moment. I don't know what is going to happen afterwards. But a student who is available to such a teacher, the impact is so complete. Just like when iron pieces are exposed to the mother magnet, they also become magnetized. And then they themselves become magnets in their own right. Because the rearrangement of atoms within the iron piece has happened. Now it has become also a magnet. Now it attracts others. This is the Guru Parampara. This is the Acharya Shishya Parampara. So just like that, imagine we are the iron piece and we are exposing ourselves to Acharya who is established in the self. What will happen? All the atoms within us, what are the atoms here that need to be realigned? Our mental thoughts. They are getting integrated. Integration always happens when you are thinking of the infinite. Integration doesn't take place when you are thinking of the world. Because manyness disintegrates. Ye khaun ke wo khaun? Should I eat this or should I eat that? When we are focused towards the unified principle, then integration takes place. So when we are listening to a master who is established in it, we also become integrated and it clicks. And once it clicks, no more sansar, nothing to do, nowhere to go. सुनने में कितना सिंपल लगता है ना? I said to listen, it sounds so simple. But we give ourselves so many options. We have to stop that. भवत्येवावगतिस्तद्विषया श्रोतुः तदस्म्यहम् इति आचार्यस्येव इति अर्थः. आचार्यस्य एव इति अर्थः. In other meaning that just like that Acharya was established in the self, the listener, this disciple, the one who is available, he also becomes established in the self. Example of magnet I gave. He also becomes established in the self. And what is the establishment? That Aham Brahmasmi. No doubt remains thereafter. This is how the parampara continues. एवं सुविज्ञेय आत्मा आगमवता आचार्येण अनन्यतया प्रोक्तः. So, in this manner, evam suvigneya atma agamavata, meaning one who is, see, when we say there are different acharyas, which acharya is being talked about here? Shrotriya Brahmanistha Purusha, that person is being talked about here. Shrotriya, the one who knows the scriptures, one who has studied the scriptures, the one who has exposed himself to his teacher, listened to the teacher, reflected, contemplated, come to realize, is able to communicate those scriptures to others, is established in the truth. Such an acharya, such a teacher. And when such a teacher gives an instruction on the Atma, the person who is listening, he will certainly come to know the self. Suvigneya. What is that here? Suvigneya Atma. He will also come to know the Atma very well. Itaratha ह्यणीयान अणुप्रमाणादपि संपद्यत आत्मा, he says. Otherwise, when it comes from unestablished acharya, teacher, then there can be arguments and there will be counter arguments, there will be debate and there will be another debate. If I say the Atma is subtle, the second one will say, the other person can say it is subtler, then the first one will say no, it is subtler than the subtlest. There is no end to it. You can go from atom to neutron, proton, electron, then go from neutron to quarks, and from to negative quarks, positive quarks. That is how they are still going, but they still haven't found the ultimate. When the pursuit is objective, there is no affirmative answer. Understand this. And for getting an affirmative answer, the teacher has to be established in the truth. Merely by exposure, and this is what we read in the narrations of experiences or observations and of people who were with Raman Maharishi, to Ram Surat Kumarji, to Anandamayi Ma, to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Read the stories of the various masters. Just by being around him, by just visit, they had every evening they used to go to his room and be with him. Just time pass हो रहा है. That's what the argument I was talking to, the same thing. Atarkyam atarkyah swabuddhya bhyuhena kevalena tarkena. And these are all arguments which have come out of intellect, and one intellect cancels the other intellect cancels the first intellect, and it goes on. And it cut. हिंदी में अभी मकर संक्रांति गई ना, अब वो काटे पतंग उड़ाते थे ना, So whose thread is covered with glass, which is strong, it will cut the other kites. So here we are cutting each other all the time. I had an accident. Oh, what accident? I had a worse accident than yours. Oh, I got pain in my knee. What your pain? I got pain in both knees. This is cutting. Oh, I think I had a out of body experience. What out of body experience? I go out of my body every night. Oh, I am listening to satsang. What you are listening? I study Upanishads every day. I have gone to pilgrimage. Acha, you went to Chardham? Oh, I have gone Chardham 100 times. This is tarka atarka. It means cancel. सिर्फ अपनी प्रतिष्ठा दिखानी है. We have to show how we are greater, even whether it be misery or whether it be accomplishment. We want to compete in misery also. How we are more miserable than the other fellow. We क्या बोलेंगे? तर्क्यमाणे अणुपरिमाणे केनचित् स्थापित आत्मनि ततः ह्यणुतरम् अन्यः अभ्युहति ततः अपि अन्यः अणुतमम् इति न हि कुतर्कस्य निष्ठा क्वचित् विद्यते. So he says, exactly the same point. It is a natural discussion that is coming out of my I have already preempted that thought. So if any person gives an argument, then the other and is able to establish his argument, the second person will give another argument and is able to establish his argument. This is how all the what you call PhDs are being taking place in the world today. It has become a business. No PhD from 10, 15, 20 years ago has any ground to stand on today, because people are able to go ahead and show that those conclusions are wrong. Same thing with allopathic medicine. They keep changing the dose, they keep changing their data, because there is nothing definitive. In the objective world, nothing is definitive. But to say that I am not definitive, I am not, that is wrong. You are all that there is. You are the one. And therefore here it says, kutarkasya nishtha kvachit vidyate, that there is no place for argument in this discussion. When we are talking about Atma, there is no place for argument. There is no place for debates. Debate still you may have, because Shankaracharya had a debate with Mandana Mishra. And then instruction was given to him after he surrendered. Till then, it was not. In that debate, he became convinced. He did not have a counter argument. Mandan Mishra was a Bauddha. He believed that there is no God, that there is no Atma. Shankaracharya said, Atma is. And Shankaracharya ji was so confident about, because he is coming from realization. Then Mandan Mishra said, who is going to be the judge? He said, what is your wife's name? Saraswati. Ah, good. Saraswati, goddess of learning. Let her be the judge. Oh, you are not afraid that she is going to take my side? See, that courage, that fearlessness, that can only come from knowledge of the self. है ना मजा मजा. In the 9th verse, what's the time? नैषा तर्केण मधिरापनेया, नैषा तर्केण मधिरापनेया, प्रोक्तान्येनैव सुज्ञानाय प्रेष्ठ, प्रोक्तान्येनैव सुज्ञानाय प्रेष्ठ, यां त्वमापसत्यधृतिर्बतासि, यां त्वमापसत्यधृतिर्बतासि, त्वादृङ्नो भूयान्नचिकेतः पृष्टा, त्वादृङ्नो भूयान्नचिकेतः पृष्टा. Together. नैषा तर्केण मधिरापनेया, प्रोक्तान्येनैव सुज्ञानाय प्रेष्ठ, यां त्वमापसत्यधृतिर्बतासि, त्वादृङ्नो भूयान्नचिकेतः पृष्टा. He says, oh my dear, oh my dearest, that to get the equanimous vision, to get the direct experience, naisha tarkena matirapaneya. There is no place for argument there. That it is not gained through argumentation. Proktan yenaiva sugnanaya preshtha. When to know the self, oh dear one, to gain that wisdom, that the question that you have posed, whether the consciousness is or is not, to gain that knowledge of consciousness, to gain that knowledge of the soul, Atma, there is no room for argumentation. The only way it can be gained is when it is imparted. Proktan yenaiva sugnanaya preshtaha. When it is imparted by a person who is established in the self, and who is not only into logic and into argumentation. It is not possible through that. Yanthom apa satya dhrutir batasi. He says, Tvam apah satya dhrutir batasi. You are established. You are established in, or you have the qualities, or you are the fit student, and that you have got the right resolution in your mind because you did not get affected by all the temptations. Here it is not written that, I am just adding to it, that you are a fit student, you have resolved correctly in your mind, in brackets, by not getting tempted by everything that I threw at you. You are only focused straight on knowing the that which is worthy to be known, and therefore you are endowed, you are having the right resolution within yourself. Tva dringno bhuyan nachiketa prashtha. He says that may our questioner be always like you, O Nachiket, because every teacher is looking for a student like Nachiket. And every Nachiket, meaning every student, worthy student, prepared student, is looking for a teacher like Dharmaraj, the Lord of Death. We are all looking for a student, teacher. But where do we go and knock? Where our ego is established. Where do we go and knock? Where we can be used. Where do we go and knock? Where we can use someone, including the Mahatma. See? Are we here for that? Or are we here in the disposition of Nachiket, focused only on the unknowable, which is beyond the mind and intellect? Now don't keep looking what is beyond the mind and intellect. When you look outside, the maximum you can reach is nothingness or God. You have to look within. Be subjective. That knack of being subjective. I remember even before going to ashram, I was a kacha, and one day I heard these. I went to attend some lecture somewhere, not spiritual lectures. It was I think it was Robert Kiyosaki or someone, and they were talking about subjective and objective. Now, I've heard those words before, but never in that context. And in that, they talked about subjective being only the personality, the desirer. But when I was studying or doing my sadhana, and one day I just thought came, what is this subjective and objective? And I was racking my brains. And what is this subjective? What is this subjective? Subjective means I, man. And for many years I believed that I was the subject. But when I came across Vedanta, it was a different revelation. It is not the I thought. It is not the waker I. It is not the I thought. It is the I without a thought. That is the subject. See? So this subjective approach, the knack of being, it becomes easily available when we are in the presence of a Shrotriya Brahmanist, when instructed by such a person. Shrotriya, well versed in scriptures, in understanding and communicating, Brahmanist and established in his essential nature, the infinite truth. When these two things come together, there are many teachers. Anandamayi, an uneducated person, only chanting Ram, Ram, Krishna, Krishna. And whatever, she was a Bengali, learned Hindi, lived in Vrindavan for a long time, used to go on yatras. But when she used to speak, people could not understand what she is speaking. Hindi, Bengali, Odia, sab mix karke. So when Akhandananji Maharaj used to go, she says, he knows what I want to say. She used to make him speak. You see? Because for those masters, Udiya Baba, Akhandananji Maharaj, and Anandamayi Ma, just with eyes, they knew each other. They don't have to speak to know each other. See? Because all three were established in the self. So, hey Nachiket, O dearest one, may we be blessed by students like you, O Nachiket, again and again. I told you, I don't know if it was this class or Thursday class. Tapon Maharaj Ji was waiting. So many students came and went, but one Chinmayananda. Swami Shivananda had so many jewels, but one Swami Chidananda. Ramakrishna had so many disciples, but one Vivekananda. Every master is waiting for that one. See? Sage Vashishta waited for that one, Ram, to whom he could give Yoga Vashishta. See? Lord Shivji waited for Markandeya to ask the question. He gave Vigyan Bhairav. Have we become qualified? Are we available? So here he is feeling blessed, and he is cherishing this moment that such a worthy student is sitting in front of him. And very rare we find a teacher praising the student, because usually good teachers, they test the student till he breaks, till the ego breaks. And here a different scenario. Lord of Death is praising the disciple. May the teachers like us get students like you again and again. See, now you can understand the disposition of Nachiket, his commitment to the truth, his understanding of the scriptures at that young age of 8, whatever he has studied. But from that he has got the crux out, he's got the makhan, butter out, essence. And systematically he asked the questions to the Lord of Death. अतः अनन्य प्रोक्त आत्मनि उत्पन्ना येयम आगम अप्रतिपाद्यम पाद्य आत्ममतिः नैषा न एषा तर्केण स्वबुद्ध्यं यूहमात्रेण आपनेया न प्रापणीय इति अर्थः. He says, that therefore atah ananya prokta atmani utpanna, that this instruction which was given to you by the teacher who is established in the undivisible truth, in the undivisible truth, which is utpanna yeyam agam apratipadya, and agam are the shastras, and which is also presented in as presented in the shastras, meaning Upanishads, meaning Vedas, and that which is that and what is this utpanna, that which arises in the Atmani Utpanna, that which arises in the self. So it is not coming from somewhere, it is not coming from the teacher, it is not coming from the world, it is not coming from the words, it is not coming from memory, it is not coming from logic, it is not coming from imagination, it is not coming from an example. Where is it coming from? Atmani Utpanna. It's coming from the self, in the self. See, and this only happens when we listen to a teacher argument free, and listen to which teacher? Who has become identified, who has become one with that undivided self. And how must we approach him? Without argument. So this is another quality of our Swamiji. He never entertains any question. We are liberal. Ask as many questions. He does not even have a question answer session. He will not answer any questions. Full stop. His only takya kalam, his statement is, wherever the questions come from, answer is also lurking there only. Be courageous to let it reveal. He says, I can give you a reply, but answer you have to find it within yourself. And where the questions come from. So there is no, and if you tell something, Swamiji, I am not getting a job. And if he says, before he answers, not to everyone, suppose he has to answer. He says, yeah, we can do some solution, but no argument, no discussion. That is his first statement. Okay, Swamiji, no argument. What should I do? Then whatever he says, go climb the mountain, go and visit that god in that temple, or do this, take the Hanuman, chant the Hanuman Chalisa so many times. Whatever he intuitively comes to him, he tells that. But he is not available to any discussion after that instruction. Because if there is argument and discussion after that instruction, the power with which it has come out of his mouth becomes diluted. Then it doesn't work. If you want to argue, go, get out. Don't come back next time. Simple. So who entertains arguments and questions? The one who is imperfect himself. See, बच के रहो, ऐसे टीचर से. So in this way, tarkena. So don't try to work. The Atma cannot be worked out by our own intellect. It cannot be worked out. You can work out how the world is ephemeral. You can work it out. But what is Atma? It cannot be worked out. And working out means points, counterpoints, then again counterpoints, and you in your mind also the tarka, the argumentation is going on. But I thought it was this way, but they say this way, when this way, this Upanishad says that way, this Upanishad, I am Brahman, but why am I not experiencing it? This is all argumentation going on inside your mind only. All this has to stop. And this stops when you are with a master, Shrotriya Brahmanist. And in this way, when it says na apaneya apaneya, it means it cannot be attained. What cannot be attained? The self cannot be attained. The undivided self cannot be attained when approached with arguments. Arguments are nothing but doubts, because you are doubting your own conclusion that is being presented by the teacher, by the Upanishads. Trust. Be available. न आपनेतव्या वा न हातव्या तार्किको ह्यनागमज्ञः स्वबुद्धि परिकल्पितं यत् किंचिद एव कथयति. Basically what they are saying is it cannot be known through argumentation, and the argumentation is not is other than the Adhyatma Shastra, and through logic and argumentation nothing can be ever known, and all arguments are only imaginations of the mind. But if all this is imagination of the mind. Therefore, atah eva cha yeyam agama prabhuta matihi anyenaiva agama abhignena acharyena eva tarkikat prokta sati sujnanaya bhavati he preshtah priyatama. So he says, therefore, oh dearest one, this Atma Buddhi, which is what will you say? The wisdom that comes from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, and when we listen to this knowledge of the Agama, which is the Upanishads, it leads to the self-knowledge. And then it says, and parokte means what? When imparted. Prokta sati sugnyaya bhavati he bhavati. So when imparted, when imparted by a teacher who is versed in the Vedas, Shrotriya, and such a person who is well versed in the scriptures, in the Vedas, in the Upanishads. Basically our scriptures are Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and the Brahma Sutras. This is the Prasthanatrayi, the Vedanta Shastra, and he who is well versed with it, such a person doesn't get into any argumentation and logic we still use, but argumentation such a person doesn't get involved in. There is nothing to prove to anyone. Do you go around proving that you are a woman or you are a man? No. Do you go around proving I am awake, I am not dreaming, I am not sleeping? No. Do you go around proving I am a father of my children? No. Do you have to prove someone that your tummy is full after having your dinner? No. Do you have to prove that your eyes are seeing and not hearing? No. I can go on. Similarly, the person who is established in the unified self doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. In argumentation, both who the two people who are arguing, both are losers. There is no conclusion ever in argumentation. And self is not a topic of argumentation. Self is a topic of realization. And for that, all the dispositions were clear, have been mentioned. And here one of them is, don't get involved in arguments. Don't get involved in question answers. Because intellect does not, will not, cannot come to know the self. Questions are only in the intellect. Instead, make yourself available at that moment. How can I go beyond the questions and answers? And for that, we must have respect and reverence towards the masters, towards the scriptures. So here when he says, therefore, O dearest, this wisdom which originates in the Vedas or the Upanishads, suvigneya bhavati means leads to self-knowledge or great knowledge. And when does it lead to that great knowledge? When prokte, when it is imparted or given by whom? By a different person, anyena eva, by a different person. And who is this different person? A teacher who is versed in the Vedas and who is different from indifferent to logicians, and because there is the Tark Shastra, there is a Nyaya Shastra. So he doesn't get involved in that. He doesn't get into arguments, and in this way, का पुनः सा तर्कागम्या मतिः इति उच्यते. Then he says again, what again is that belief that is beyond argumentation? What is that? Having said that, now what is the time? It is already 9:05. We'll do the last part, last paragraph of this 9th verse in our next class. And after this, I think in the 10th, in the 10th verse, the sadhana will be given, and we'll see anyway, whatever it unfolds as we go ahead. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Just a few moments, sit quietly. Hari Om.
Hari Om.